The great philosopher Calvin, of Calvin and Hobbes, once said, provoking a reaction isn't the same thing as saying something significant. I'm going to let you all know up front, that's my bias against this artist in general and this album. Are we a provocateur for the sake of provocation? Or do we have something to say? And are we trying to evolve as an artist? I'll give you all my opinion, and then you can make your own decision from there. Welcome to Album IQ. We're a team of producers, music engineers, mixing engineers, artists, musicians, and we've come together to make a channel so that you all can be bestowed upon with our opinions of what modern music has to offer. You don't have to like it, you don't have to agree, but we would like it if you'd listen. So here we are today, we're discussing MGK's new album, Lost Americana. It's an album that promises rebellion, heartbreak, and a portrait of America through the lens of MGK. But here's the real question. Is MGK at his most vulnerable right now? Or is this just another mask that he's donning, another fad that he's trying to jump onto? Or is he trying to trend in a certain way? Again, is it provocateur for the sake of being a provocateur? Or are we diving into something more meaningful? I'll give my take and y'all can make your own decision at the end. Is it MGK at his most vulnerable? Or is it just pseudo-vulnerability dressed up in pop-punk polish with today's modern production capabilities? That's for y'all to decide. What is Lost Americana? Is it a miss or a masterpiece? A Mr. Piece? I think it's a miss. I'll just go ahead and give the plot away right now. But that's, again, me. I'm putting my biases up front. I have not followed MGK for a long time. He's had nothing to offer to me artistically ever since I've known of who he is. The many different masks he wears to me seem like an attempt to just kind of jump on trends and not commit to one thing. Maybe that's what people like about him. I don't really know. But let's talk a little bit about the MGK arc. So started out as a rapid fire rapper, kind of turned into a pop-punk revivalist, teaming up with people like Travis Barker to lend some validity to his efforts. And there's things like, I think there are albums like Tickets to My Downfall, Mainstream Sellout. This is where fans start to split. Is he a sellout? Is he revolutionary? Is he evolving as an artist? And fans have split on that historically. Again, you're talking to somebody who has not listened to any of his other albums. I've heard songs of his before. I've watched videos on Controversy on YouTube like the rest of you, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've gone through and listened to his whole all the annals of the MGK album library. We're talking today about Lost Americana. That's where it starts and ends with me for now. If anybody wants to hear our take on some previous stuff so that we can connect the dots, we'd be happy to do so. Expectations were high for fans. Would MGK, would he evolve, or is he just going to recycle something he's already done and kind of target a younger audience? Man, in my opinion, MGK's career pattern looks like a pattern of defense that's sort of masked and upheld by reinvention. Each stylistic shift can be seen of kind of like a mask protecting him from rejection. So you can't say that he's not the greatest one of these because he's not only that, he's also this. Like, oh, he's not the greatest rapper ever. Well, that's because I'm not just a rapper. I'm also a rapper and a pop punk artist. Same thing. Oh, you're not that great at pop punk. It doesn't matter how many Travis Barkers you put in your band. Oh, well, that's because I'm not just pop punk. I'm also this. So is it a fear of rejection? Is that part of his issue? Is that part of issue with young men today in general? That would be some of my psychological take. But when it comes to this album, if one identity gets burned out or ridiculed, another one steps in. And so it's a way for him never to be able to be pinned down, never be able to be targeted, and never be able to be called to the carpet, as they say, to answer for what is this album and what does it add? It's the classic tension between wanting to be truly seen, but fearing exposure at the same time. MGK, we can all relate to you on that, bud. So no hate there. But it might feel like there's a little hate coming your way, only because I didn't really enjoy the album that much. There's some highlights, though. So let's talk about what was good, what was bad, and our final takeaways. So, track by track highlights. Miss Sunshine, I think, was my favorite. It's catchy. It's got some great opportunities for samples and drums in there. But I'll be honest with you, the drug references kind of feel stale, kind of played out. Lyrics wander between being compelling and cliche. Drugs here function kind of like a fetish object, a stand-in symbol for rebellion. Even if there is some more emotional truth underneath, it has kind of fallen flat. And that that kind of takes away from the veracity of the album. Let's see, Sweet Caroline, nod to the Strokes, but without much new to offer. And something weird with the mix going on there. Almost like the low end is kind of distorted, almost like it's clipping, and I'm sure it was intentional because it's all super high-end pros that are working on these albums, but like the lyrics kind of oscillate between solid and cheesy. MGK often teeters between sincerity and parody, in my opinion, which suggests and continues to suggest that ambivalence in authenticity. What is he really trying to say? Is he really trying to say anything? He both wants to connect with his audience, but also wants to protect himself from ridicule or any kind of criticism. Indigo. This is probably MGK at his strongest. To me, on the album, it gives Linkin Park vibes, sort of atmospheric and moody. Show the strength of the lyricist, and I believe that throughout the album, you can see that his strength is in his lyricism. They're not deeply meaningful, but they're fun and they're clever and they're plays on words and there's stuff like that. And so, he is a clever and fun lyricist, and I think that's his strength throughout the album. Singing, not so much, but I think we'll talk about that in a little bit. Indigo works because it leans into some of that sublimation, kind of channeling the inner chaos in a controlled and atmospheric form that seems a little bit more honest overall. It definitely is one of the highlights of the album for me. That being said, we move into like Tell Me What's Up. He says he's... So this kind of highlights part of my problem, right? So the whole intro to Tell Me What's Up is MGK sort of like talking to the mic. He's recording like nobody's listening, contradicting that if that were true, that statement wouldn't need to be made. If I was in my studio by myself getting ready to record, I'm not going to be like, I'm about to record this like no one's listening because I don't care. That would not require to be said. So again, it's that pseudo vulnerability. It's that thing of like trying to represent yourself in a way of something that you're really not. It's interesting. It adds to that other vibe we were talking about. Can't Stay Here. It's got a very like Google Dolls vibe, but it's catchy. It's effective. I think emotionally what he's trying to accomplish there. In addition to that, man, it's just so much pitch correction. It just kind of takes it out of it. I want artists to start understanding that, like, just like over compressing or over limiting a track takes the life out of a track, over pitch correcting and over roboticizing everything takes the life and the emotionality and the feeling out of a track. This is a perfect example of when that's happening. I think the person he wrote this song with, EMME, whoever he wrote this song with, the songwriting really lands here. I think it's one of the more truly vulnerable sections of the album. It's a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more catchy, and it's got something to connect to. And it's the real thing that I feel like he always wants to hint at, and it's finally allowed to come through in this track. And that being said, again, it had a lot to do with the songwriting, but the pitch corrector just kind of really takes you out of it, in my opinion. Production and sound overall, man, it's polished, it's layered, sometimes over too much, sometimes it's over processed. Atmosphere and things like Indigo, but elsewhere the pitch correction just feels sort of suffocating. It's too much. It's too much. You know what I mean? I can't connect with that. You might as well had paid AI to come sing it. I feel like in this case, MGK's rebellion and his anti-establishment message arrives prepackaged for mainstream consumption. What do I mean by that? Well, it's this message of like, I don't know, fetishizing and glorifying drugs, kind of trying to present himself as alternative, existing outside the norms and outside the realms. However, it comes across in this very sort of safe, hyper-polished, and overproduced package. So again, it's a contradiction. And that's the thing that I struggle with when it comes to this artist, the contradiction. It's like Calvin said, being provocative doesn't necessarily mean that there's something significant within that provocation. So now what do we do with it? Do we enjoy it purely for what it is sonically? Sometimes. Do we use this album as one of the greatest albums? Does he speak to a generation? Is he the voice of a generation? I hope not. There's really nothing being said throughout this album. I think that's my biggest problem with it, is that it's a lot of pomp and circumstance. It's presented in such a way as if like, oh, I'm so anti-establishment. I'm so speaking to the youth and our angst. He's not speaking to anything. He's just not speaking to anything. It reminds me of like when I was in high school. There were like those group of kids, y'all might remember, where they would try so hard to act like they didn't care. Like, you clearly care so much about looking as if you don't care. You're a walking contradiction. And it might have worked when we were all 14, 15, 16, but it doesn't work anymore. And so that also makes me question, who is his target audience and what is it that he's trying to communicate? I'm not trying to hate on the album overall. Recurring motifs of drugs and heartbreak and disillusionment and longing for belonging. I think that does resonate with a lot of people, especially nowadays. I think that probably does resonate with a lot of young men nowadays. Again, it's just lacking that genuineness, that truth behind it. Where can we actually connect to MGK in this album? And I don't have an answer for that. I don't actually have an answer for that. He gestures towards vulnerability and like talking about his daughter and treading water, but that's undermined by his glorification of drugs and other things elsewhere. Like, what is your angle? Who are you and what are you trying to do? If you enjoy MGK purely for the sound and you think his songs are catchy and you're having a good time listening to it, that might be a reason to listen to this album. If you're looking for some sort of evolution as an artist or some sort of evolution as a creator or some sort of deeper meaning within the art that is here, I think you're going to be disappointed. There's a lot of regression. We retreat to adolescence through like pop punk aesthetics, right? And even that whole pop punk scene always takes me back a little bit. It hasn't evolved. Back when Blink-182 brought it back with Enema of the State, it had evolved. Pop punk existed before that, but man, it had never been so polished, and man, it had never sounded so good, and man, it had never been so catchy, and man, had it never been so accepted by the mainstream. And so that was an evolution, that was a growth, and everything has been riding the coattails of that. I'm not going to give it all to Blink-182, but everything has been riding the coattails of that resurgence since then, and nothing has been added to it in a meaningful way. And this album is just another peg or just another block in that Jenga stack of adding another block on top, taking something out of the foundation, not adding anything meaningful, and eventually it's going to crumble if it hasn't already. There's not a lot of interest in this album for me, again, unless you're just hardcore MTK fan. So let's do a recap. Best and weakest moments. Indigo, MGK's in his zone, channeling chaos into atmosphere and Can't Stay Here. A little overpolished, but structured, catchy, and emotionally effective, emotionally relevant. Weakest. Oh man, I think it's Gang Gang might be the name of the song. Somewhere in the song, the lyrics are you 3, 4, like, I don't know, man. Who are we targeting here? 12-year-olds? Like, who wants to sing that? I'm an old man. I don't want to sing that. You 3, 4. I'll pass, bro. Treading Water again tries to be emotional at the core, but fails flat under the weight of its contradictory nature. Again, all the mixture of the things that you're actually talking about. Final verdict: strength, high production value, flashes of lyrical honesty, and clever lyricism, I think, throughout, which is definitely something to be valued in MGK. Atmosphere's peaks. Weaknesses for me: it's overprocessed. Vocals, way overprocessed. Not a clear message. Doesn't seem actually genuine or vulnerable, and it's kind of juvenile across the board. For fans, maybe this is something that is good for you. If you're just like MGK, you like his sound, you're not looking for deeper meaning in the music, and you're fine with just it being like, it's just fun, man. It's a little thing. Like, why do you got to be so serious? Cool, that's a valid take. Listen to it. Have a good time. I'll ask you, what did y'all think? What did you think about MGK's new album, Lost Americana? Did the vulnerability feel authentic? Did it feel just like another mask? Which tracks did you think were actually good? Which tracks did you think were bad? Let us know in the comments. Let us know if you want us to talk about other MGK albums. And thanks for tuning in to Album IQ, your ultimate source for album reviews. Until next time, stay curious and keep listening.